What's up, everybody? Bryan Moss here with Tiger Sports Report. After watching that game, I'm telling you what, it can be frustrating. I mean, yes, Memphis came away with the 35 32 um, win over Boise State, but I'm telling you, they didn't. It wasn't easy. They didn't make it easy. I mean, they came out poor. I mean, like extremely poor. I mean, they came out all of a sudden before you knew it, really it's 17 to nothing. I mean, the drives, first drive, three plays, only 8 yards, punt. The next drive, you had 9 plays, 45 yards, but some questionable calling and you turn it over on downs. Then you punt. I mean, at that point, you're down 17 to nothing, and it's not looking good. When you take a look at the stats, and especially in that first quarter, Memphis had 66 yards, 44 yards of that is rushing. Y- You know, it just wasn't a good like third downs. You were 2 for 4, not bad, but like that first quarter play calling. There was a lot of iffy play calls, in my opinion. But they finally did, come back. They got around. What was it? Roughly the halfway into the second quarter, I guess Memphis finally woke up. And decided to do something. I mean, um, but it was, Rock Taylor, a 19 yard touchdown reception from Seth Hennigan to finally get on the board in the second quarter. That was, I believe, maybe 5 minutes to go, and a little bit later, Blake Watson 5 yard touchdown to make it 17-14 going into halftime. And, going into halftime with a deficit or trailing at the half, it hasn't been kind to Coach Silverfield and Memphis. Trailing at the halftime, Memphis is 6-12 all time under, I shouldn't say all time, but 6-12 in the Ryan Silverfield era when trailing at the half, including 0-1 this year. But they did pull it off. They made some people sweat. I know the Memphis fans, that in the chat with in our little group chat, we had you know, a game chat that they weren't very happy, but I think everything turned around. I think the big momentum was that Canton Arku 80-yard touchdown from a field goal block. He picked it up and ran 80 yards. That really, I think, turned the game for Memphis. They had to lead 21-17. And then in the fourth quarter, Blake MC with a 59-yard touchdown reception. At that point, you're thinking, okay, Memphis, they're definitely in control. But true Memphis fashion, they can't have anything easy. Uh, you know, uh, Boise comes right back. I think 3 minutes later, scores a touchdown, gets the 2 point conversion, and it's 28-25. Starting to sweat a little bit, and then Blake Watson, you think, iced the game with his 1 yard touchdown, 35-25, but still, nothing in Memphis can be easy. And then Boise comes back and scores to make it 35-32, tries an onside kick. Memphis hangs on. So thankfully, Memphis does improve to 4-1. Giving out grades of this game, oh man, it's really it was an F in the first quarter and a half. I mean, I didn't see much positives in that first quarter and a half. I'll break it up into the first half. They did eventually score those two touchdowns to make it 17-14. So I mean, I'll average it out and say a C. I give a first half grade as a C, but second half, I think it's just a solid B, B and a half. I mean, B plus. Um, because of what they were able to do offensively. Let's go back. I mean, take a look at the stats again. Let's see. First half stats, Memphis had, well, actually, they had more yards in the, first half than the second half. It didn't seem that way, but I guess with that 80-yard touchdown, run, it gave, Boise back-to-back, possessions, but it did seem in the second half they had more yardage, even though the stats doesn't say that. But overall, in the game, Seth Hennigan was 18 for 28, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns. He completed 64% of his passes. But I think more importantly, for Seth this game, he didn't have any interceptions. He had, I think, 4 interceptions going into this game, 4 or 5. I'd have to double check that. But he had an interception problem. He didn't have an interception problem in the first part of last year or the first part of his freshman year. But so far this year, he had that problem, and it wasn't that way in this game. But what was a problem in the first half was just the drop passes. Blankumsey, dropped 2 or 3 that I remember. I mean, that stuff like that has to be cleaned up, and you have that bye week going before you play Tulane, so that's I mean, that's going to help Memphis. There's a lot of things that can be cleaned up, but overall, I mean, you just like a sigh of relief, if you're Memphis rushing. Blake Watson, 19 carries for 113 yards. Those 2 important touchdowns. Rock Taylor, 5 catches for 102 yards. So third down overall, Memphis was 6 of 13 on third downs. They were that, 1 for 2 for fourth downs. Total plays, 63 plays for Memphis, 70 total plays for Boise. Some things I want to see cleaned up. Obviously, those drop passes I want to see cleaned up before you play Tulane. But I want to see Memphis play a little bit faster. It seems they play better when they play fast. Just act like there's 2 minutes left in the game on every single drive, and I think Memphis will be fine. They for whatever reason they play better when they play fast, and I think they do need to play faster. Time of possession, Boise was 32-49. Memphis was 27 minutes and 11 seconds, but can't complain too much because Memphis won. So, I mean, as I said, sigh of relief. You have 2 weeks to prepare for Tulane. I think that's going to be a great game. So just hang in there. I think it'll get better. We'll see. That's just my quick thoughts at the end of the game. Go Tigers, go.